Have you ever stood up from a chair and felt like your hips just wouldn't open up? Like there's an invisible rubber band wrapped around your hip joints, holding you back? I want you to know something right now. That stiffness is not just getting older. In most cases, it's caused by tight hip flexors and a sleepy, underused set of glute muscles. And the good news is, you can fix this sitting right where you are. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Alan Mandell with Healthy Aging America, and today I'm going to show you 5 simple chair exercises that unlock frozen hips. And honestly, these work better than any static stretch you've tried before. No floor work, no kneeling, no special equipment. Just a sturdy chair and a few minutes a day. Stick with me to the end, because exercise number 5 is the one most people skip. And it's actually the most important one for keeping you steady on your feet. Let's get into it. Let's talk for a moment about why this happens, because understanding the why will help you understand why these exercises work. Your hip is what we call a ball and socket joint. It's surrounded by a deep network of muscles, the most important ones being your hip flexors, particularly a muscle called the psoas, and your gluteal muscles, especially the gluteus medius and minimus on the side of your hip. Now here's the problem. As we age, and especially if we sit for long periods during the day, whether that's watching TV, reading, working at a desk, or even driving, the hip flexors stay in a shortened position for hours at a time. Over months and years, that muscle adapts to that shortened length. It literally forgets how to lengthen fully. At the same time, the glute muscles on the back and side of the hip become underused. We call this gluteal amnesia. Your brain almost forgets how to fire those muscles efficiently. So you end up with a tight front of the hip and a weak back of the hip. That combination is exactly what creates that frozen feeling. On top of the muscular issue, there's also the joint itself. Your hip joint is lubricated by something called synovial fluid. When you don't move the joint through its full range regularly, that fluid doesn't circulate as well, and the cartilage inside the joint doesn't get the nutrients it needs. This can contribute to that stiff, almost rusty hinge feeling so many of you describe to me. Now, what are the real-life consequences of this? It's not just discomfort. Tight, weak hips lead to a shorter, shuffling walking stride, lower back pain because your lower back tries to compensate for hips that won't move properly, poor balance because your gluteus medius is actually one of the most important muscles for keeping you stable when you walk, and, this is the big one, an increased risk of falling, which is one of the most serious health risks for adults over 60. So why doesn't regular stretching fix this completely? Static stretching, where you just hold a position and pull on the muscle, can help with flexibility, but it doesn't address the weakness in the glutes, and it doesn't pump that synovial fluid through the joint the way active movement does. What you actually need is mobility work, movements that combine gentle stretching with activation, taking the joint through its full range in multiple directions. That's exactly what these 5 chair exercises are designed to do. Before we start, let's go over a few safety basics, because doing these correctly matters more than doing them fast. First, use a sturdy chair. No wheels, no swivel, and make sure it won't slide on the floor. A chair against a wall or a heavy dining chair works great. Second, move slowly and with control. We are not trying to bounce or force anything. A gentle pulling sensation is normal. Sharp or shooting pain is not. If you feel that, stop immediately. Third, breathe. It's tempting to hold your breath when you're concentrating, but steady breathing helps your muscles relax and actually improves your range of motion. And finally, if you've had a recent hip replacement, hip surgery, or you have a diagnosed condition like severe arthritis, please check with your doctor or physical therapist before starting any new routine. These exercises are generally very gentle, but your safety always comes first. All right, let's get into the exercises. Let's start with something that looks simple but does a lot of work: seated marching. Sit toward the front edge of your chair, back straight, feet flat on the floor, hands resting on the sides of the chair or on your thighs for support. Now, slowly lift your right knee up toward your chest as if you're marching in place. Lift it as high as comfortably possible. You don't need to touch your chest, just lift with control. Hold for 1 second at the top, then lower it back down slowly. Now switch to the left knee, lifting it up the same way. Continue alternating right, left, like a slow, seated march. Do this for about 10 lifts per leg for 2 to 3 sets. What this is doing? This directly engages your hip flexor muscles in a controlled, active way, which is very different from just stretching them. By actively contracting and releasing the hip flexor, you're improving blood flow to the area and reteaching that muscle how to move through its range rather than just sitting in a shortened position all day. A common mistake here is leaning back too far or using momentum to swing the leg up. Keep your back tall and lift slowly using only the hip muscle. That's where the real benefit comes from. You should feel a gentle, warming sensation at the front of your hip and maybe even your lower abdomen. That's exactly what we want. Next is one of my favorites for opening up the outer hip and glute area, the seated figure 4 stretch. Sit tall in your chair. Lift your right ankle and place it on top of your left knee, so your right leg forms the shape of the number 4. Now, gently lean your upper body forward from the hips, keeping your back straight, not rounding your spine. You'll feel a stretch through your right hip and outer glute. Hold this position for 20 to 30 seconds, breathing steadily. Then, slowly release, switch legs, and repeat on the other side. This movement specifically targets the piriformis and gluteal muscles on the outside of the hip, the muscles that often get incredibly tight and contribute to that locked-up feeling, and can even contribute to sciatica-like discomfort down the leg. A tip here: if you can't comfortably rest your ankle on your knee at first, that's completely fine. Just get your leg into as much of a figure 4 shape as you comfortably can. Flexibility will improve with consistency. Don't force it on day 1. Now let's work on multidirectional movement with seated hip circles. Sit toward the front edge of your chair with both feet flat on the floor. Place your hands on your hips or hold the sides of the chair for stability. Lift one knee slightly off the ground and begin slowly moving that knee in a circular motion, as if you're drawing a small circle with your knee. Go clockwise for 5 to 8 circles, then reverse and go counterclockwise for 5 to 8 circles. Then switch to the other leg and repeat both directions. Why this one matters so much? Most exercises move the hip in just one plane, forward and back or side to side. But your hip joint is designed to move in multiple directions. These circles take the joint through rotation, which is exactly the movement that helps circulate that synovial fluid we talked about earlier, nourishing the cartilage and reducing that rusty hinge sensation. Keep the circles small and controlled at first. As your hips loosen up over the coming days and weeks, you can gradually make the circles larger. This next one combines stretching with a deeper release for the glutes and lower back. Seated knee to chest. Sitting tall, lift your right knee and use both hands to gently pull it toward your chest. Pull only as far as comfortable. You should feel a stretch in your glute and lower back, not pain. Hold for 15 to 20 seconds, feeling your lower back gently round and release. Then slowly lower your leg and switch to the left knee. Repeat 2 to 3 times per side. This stretch is particularly helpful because it addresses both the deep glute muscles and the lower back muscles that often tighten up as a compensation for stiff hips. Many of you have told me about lower back pain that just won't go away. Often that's connected directly to hip stiffness, and this stretch helps release both areas together. Go slowly when pulling the knee in, and never yank or force it. Ease into the stretch with your breath. And finally, the exercise I mentioned at the beginning, the one most people skip, but it might be the most important, the seated side leg lift. Sit toward the edge of your chair, back straight, hands holding the sides of the chair for support. Keeping your right leg straight, lift it out to the side, away from your body, as high as comfortable. Hold for a second, then slowly lower it back down. Repeat 8 to 10 times, then switch to the left leg. Here's why this one matters so much. This movement specifically targets your gluteus medius, the muscle on the side of your hip that is the single most important muscle for keeping you balanced and steady while walking. This is the muscle that prevents that side-to-side wobble or that feeling of being unsteady on uneven ground. So many people focus only on front of hip stretching and completely neglect this side muscle. And that's exactly why their balance never improves, even after stretching for years. Don't skip this one. Now let's talk about how to actually fit these into your day, because consistency is what creates real change here, not intensity. I recommend doing all 5 exercises once each morning, ideally before you start your day, when your hips tend to feel their stiffest. If you sit for long periods during the day, watching TV, working, or driving, try to do a quick round again in the afternoon, even just one set of each. Pair this routine with a short walk, even just 10 minutes, since walking helps reinforce the mobility you're building in these exercises. And don't forget hydration. Your joint cartilage relies on adequate water intake to stay properly lubricated. Here's something I want you to do. Track how you feel. After about 2 weeks of doing this daily, ask yourself, can I stand up from a chair more easily? Is my stride a little longer? Do I feel steadier when I walk? Most people notice a real difference within that 2-week window if they stay consistent. Now, a quick but important note. Some muscle soreness after starting a new routine is completely normal. That's just your muscles adapting to new movement. However, if you experience sharp shooting pain that wakes you up at night, swelling around the joint, or pain that persists even at rest and doesn't improve with gentle movement, that's a sign you need to see your doctor. These could be signs of something more significant, like advanced arthritis, or another underlying joint issue that needs proper evaluation. These exercises are meant to support healthy mobility. They are not a replacement for medical care when something more serious is going on. Please always listen to your body. Let's do a quick recap of our 5 chair exercises. Seated marching to activate the hip flexors. Seated figure 4 stretch to open the outer hip and glutes. seated hip circles to restore multidirectional movement, seated knee to chest to release the glutes and lower back, and seated side leg lift, the balance-saving exercise most people forget. Do these daily, stay consistent, and give your body those 2 weeks to show you real improvement. If this video helped you, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Healthy Aging America. I post new videos regularly to help you move better, feel stronger, and stay independent as you age. And tell me in the comments below, which one of these 5 exercises did you feel the most? I read every comment, and I'd love to know how your hips feel after trying this. Until next time, take care of yourself. I'm Dr. Alan Mandell, and I'll see you in the next video.